The shimmering, iridescent membrane of the Senate Hall pulsed with a low, thrumming energy, the air thick with the scent of ozone and the weight of 1,000 silent fears. Across the vast chamber, the quorum of Xyler, the ruling body of the Krill Dominion, sat in their designated alcoves, their chitinous bodies radiating a palpable unease. The central hollow projector flickered, casting distorted shadows across the tiered seating, displaying a fragmented, inconclusive image. The remnants of a destroyed vessel, a debris field scattered across the void, and a single enigmatic word repeated with chilling simplicity. Ban. The word hung in the air, a physical manifestation of the Krill's mounting anxieties, a stark reminder of the escalating situation with the newly encountered species from the distant spiral arm, the humans. Senator V.H. Lar, his 6 multifaceted eyes darting nervously across the chamber, gestured with a spindly appendage, his voice a dry rasp amplified by the hall's acoustics. The reports are conflicting. The destruction of the Whisperwind remains unexplained. Preliminary analysis suggests, he paused, the words catching in his throat, a tremor running through his carapace. A level of energy output exceeding all known Krill weaponry, and the message, the singular, unsettling ban. What does it signify? He shifted uncomfortably, the metallic click of his exoskeletal joints echoing in the tense silence. Around the chamber, other senators stirred, a chorus of hushed whispers and clicking mandibles punctuating the tense atmosphere. The weight of their past interactions with the humans, their initial arrogance and dismissal, now pressed down on them like a physical burden. Across the chamber, Senator Z.Z. Glar, a veteran of countless interstellar conflicts, scoffed, his voice laced with the condescension that had, until recently, been the dominant sentiment towards the humans. Speculation. The Whisperwind was a reconnaissance vessel poorly defended. The humans, despite their peculiar behaviors, are hardly a threat. They are impulsive, emotional, prone to rash decisions. This ban is likely a consequence of a misunderstanding, a fit of pique. He dismissed the data with a casual flick of a prehensile limb, but the underlying tremor of uncertainty in his voice betrayed his bluster. He, like many of his colleagues, had initially dismissed the humans as a chaotic, primitive race, a transient curiosity in the grand tapestry of the cosmos. Now, the remnants of a starship and the stark ultimatum of ban suggested a far more complex reality. The hollow projector flickered again, the distorted image replaced by a stream of sensor readings, a chaotic jumble of energy signatures and spatial anomalies. Furthermore, added Senator V.H. Lar, his voice regaining a semblance of its usual authority, the humans have established a defensive perimeter around their primary system. Attempts at further reconnaissance have been met with deterrence. We have received no further transmissions, no requests for negotiation. They have simply withdrawn. A wave of murmuring rippled through the chamber. The implications were clear. The humans, the species they had so casually dismissed, were not only capable of extraordinary violence, but were also demonstrating a level of strategic acumen that defied initial assessment. The Senate Hall fell silent once more, the only sound the gentle hum of the environmental regulators. Each senator was lost in their own thoughts, grappling with the disquieting implications of the unfolding situation. Their first contact with the humans had been underwhelming. The humans, with their fragile bodies and unpredictable emotions, were deemed a species of limited technological and philosophical advancement. The Krill, with their advanced technology and their centuries of experience in navigating the complexities of galactic politics, had anticipated a swift and uncomplicated assimilation of the humans into the Krill Dominion's sphere of influence. They had underestimated the unpredictable nature of an evolved species, and with that, their capacity for violence. Perhaps, offered Senator Xyler, his voice a low, resonating hum, we were too hasty in our initial assessment. Perhaps the humans are not what we believe them to be. The words hung in the air, a tacit acknowledgement of the changing tides. The Krill had always prided themselves on their logical and dispassionate approach to diplomacy, but their initial interactions with the humans had been marked by condescension and a thinly veiled arrogance. They had assumed the humans would be easily swayed, easily manipulated, easy prey. Their actions had been guided by their hubris, which now seemed to be their undoing. The debate continued for what felt like an eternity. Arguments for aggressive action were weighed against the risks of provoking a species whose capabilities remained largely unknown. Diplomatic overtures were considered, weighed and ultimately dismissed as potentially counterproductive. The Senate Hall became a battleground of conflicting ideologies, of fear and ambition. The Krill, accustomed to their own mastery of the stars, found themselves grappling with an unfamiliar foe, a species that defied categorization, a species that now held their fate in the balance. The single word, ban, echoed through their minds, a constant reminder of their precarious position, of the looming threat that loomed over the Krill dominion. Hours turned into cycles as the council deliberated. Finally, a decision was reached, a compromise forged from the necessity of self-preservation. Senator V.H. Lahr, his voice weary but resolute, announced the decision. "We will dispatch a delegation, a vessel of peace to the human system. Our objective, to understand their intentions, to negotiate a resolution to avoid further escalation." There was a collective sigh of relief, though the tension remained palpable. The Krill, masters of their own destiny, were about to embark on a journey into the unknown, a diplomatic dance with a species that had already demonstrated their capacity for both power and mystery. The fate of the Krill Dominion hung in the balance, resting on the outcome of their first true negotiation with the humans, a species they had underestimated at their peril. The ban had been issued. It was time for the Krill to respond. The vessel, christened the Negotiator, was a testament to Krill engineering. Its sleek obsidian hull, bristling with advanced sensor arrays, slipped silently through the void. Inside, the delegation prepared for their first encounter with the humans. Admiral Cathar, a grizzled veteran of many interstellar conflicts, led the delegation. His mandibles clicked with a mixture of apprehension and grim determination. He knew the stakes. He had witnessed the aftermath of the Whisperwind, and he understood the dangers of underestimating their adversary. He studied the preliminary reports, the fragmented data, trying to discern the motivations of the humans. Were they merely reacting to an act of aggression, or were they inherently hostile? The journey to the human system was uneventful. The Negotiator navigated through the silent vastness of space, its sensors constantly scanning for any sign of hostility. As the vessel neared the designated coordinates, the sensors began to register anomalies. A complex web of energy signatures, a series of defensive platforms, all meticulously crafted and strategically positioned. The humans had not only constructed a defense, but had seemingly created a sphere of influence, an area that they alone controlled. Finally, the vessel reached the outskirts of the human system. Before them was a view that was both awe-inspiring and unsettling. A vast expanse of space, dotted with the glow of myriad planets and moons. At the center of it all, a single brilliant star, its light illuminating a complex web of defensive installations. They were confronted by a formidable sight: colossal orbital defense platforms, seemingly impregnable shield generators, and a fleet of vessels. The human craft, though fewer in number than the Krills, were of a design unlike anything the Krill had seen before. They were angular and sleek, designed for both speed and offensive capability. Their defenses were not simply reactive, they were proactive, a testament to the humans' strategic intelligence. The Negotiator received a transmission, a stream of complex data that was quickly translated by the Krill's advanced computer systems. The message was concise, clear, and utterly devoid of the emotional outbursts they had come to expect of the humans. The message detailed the consequences of continued intrusion and a detailed schedule for the Krill delegation's arrival. Admiral Cathar was both relieved and wary. The humans were not behaving as they expected. They weren't erratic, they were calm, efficient, and most importantly, in control. The Negotiator was guided towards a designated docking bay on a colossal space station that orbited the primary planet, a planet that, by Krill standards, was surprisingly rich in oxygen and water. As the docking clamps secured the vessel, the Krill delegation prepared for their first direct encounter. They donned their ceremonial robes, their exoskeletons gleaming under the artificial light. They walked in perfect formation, their footsteps echoing in the sterile hallways. The doors to the docking bay hissed open, revealing a vast, minimalist space. There, standing in a small group, were the humans. They were an odd species with soft, fleshy bodies and exposed faces. Their clothing was functional, utilitarian, and utterly devoid of ornamentation. They stood perfectly still, their expressions unreadable, their eyes fixed on the approaching Krill delegation. A human stepped forward, its skin a pale, almost translucent color, its eyes calm. It spoke, its voice a deep, resonant baritone. "Welcome, representatives of the Krill Dominion. We are the Sol Federation. We have been expecting you." The Krill delegation, accustomed to intimidation tactics and overt displays of power, was momentarily thrown off balance. The humans' composure was unnerving. They had anticipated hostility, suspicion, perhaps even fear. Instead, they were met with calm, measured professionalism. The human continued, We understand that you are here to discuss the incident involving the Whisperwind. We have prepared a full report. We are ready to answer your questions. However, we must reiterate our previous statement. Any further incursions into our territory will be met with consequences." The Krill delegation stood in stunned silence. The implication was clear. The humans were not negotiating, they were dictating terms. The Admiral Cathar finally cleared his throat. "Your attack on the Whisperwind remains inexplicable." His voice, though controlled, betrayed his bewilderment. The human's expression did not change. "Attack? That is not quite accurate. The Whisperwind was in a restricted area, its presence was deemed a threat, and it was neutralized." The Krill exchanged glances, their internal processing systems working overtime. The humans were not simply reacting, they were making a conscious decision, making clear that their understanding of the laws of engagement differed radically from their own. Admiral Cathar, regaining his composure, responded, "We were conducting routine reconnaissance. We posed no threat." The human nodded slowly. "Perhaps your definition of routine differs from ours. Regardless, the incident is closed. We are willing to offer reparations for the loss of life, but we will not tolerate any further violations of our space." The discussions continued for cycles. The Krill, initially skeptical and dismissive, slowly began to understand the true nature of the humans. They were not impulsive or emotional. They were logical, pragmatic, and ruthless when necessary. They were not motivated by greed or conquest. They were driven by a sense of order, a desire for stability, and a fierce determination to protect their own. They did not seem to be driven by expansion. Instead, they had withdrawn to their own space, seemingly content to defend what was theirs. The Krill delegation was given access to the humans' data logs, the full records of the incident. The data revealed a disturbing truth. The Whisperwind had indeed been detected in a restricted area, a zone designated for deep space research. The humans, after issuing numerous warnings, had destroyed the vessel using a weapon of terrifying precision, a weapon capable of disabling an entire Krill cruiser. This was not a weapon of war. It was a weapon of deterrence, a chilling reminder of the humans' capabilities. The Krill delegation found themselves facing a series of revelations. The humans possessed technology that far exceeded their initial estimates. They had a sophisticated understanding of astrophysics, advanced weaponry, and a strategic acumen that was, frankly, frightening. They also possessed something else, a deep-seated commitment to ethical behavior. Despite their superior technology and their demonstrated capacity for violence, the humans had not attacked the Krill. They had not attempted to conquer or subjugate them. They had simply defended their own territory. As the cycles passed, the Krill learned more about the humans, about their history, their culture, their philosophies. They discovered that the humans, despite their physical frailty, were remarkably resilient. They had endured countless wars, societal upheavals, and environmental disasters. They had developed a sense of cooperation, a commitment to mutual aid, and an unwavering belief in the power of reason. The humans were not only powerful, they were also good. During the extensive diplomatic meetings, a deeper understanding of the human concept of ban began to unfold. They were not simply issuing a warning against invasion. They were using it as an ethical principle. They weren't using it against them only, but against any potentially harmful action, including Krill's own past aggressions. The Krill realized the ban wasn't simply a threat, but a statement of intent, and that they had to accept the ethical framework of the humans to build a stable relationship. The Krill had always been focused on the strength of their technology, but now they learned that there was a power that stood above that, the power of a cohesive society based on ethics. The Krill and the humans eventually reached a fragile understanding. They established a non-aggression pact, a commitment to peaceful coexistence. The Krill Dominion, humbled by their encounter, acknowledged the sovereignty of the Sol Federation. They opened diplomatic channels, began to exchange technology, and shared knowledge. The humans, in turn, offered assistance with the Krill's infrastructure, a sign of their commitment to peace. A partnership was formed, not a domination, proving that it wasn't about power but about understanding. This mutual respect was a testament to the humans' strategic brilliance. As the Krill delegation prepared to depart, Admiral Cathar met with the human leader, a woman whose name, translated, meant Guardian of the Flame. "We were wrong about you," he admitted, his voice a low rumble. "We underestimated your resolve." The Guardian of the Flame nodded. "We are a species that values peace, but we will not hesitate to defend ourselves. We will not allow our homes, our families, or our future to be threatened." Your ban, it is a powerful concept, Admiral Cathar said, his voice tinged with a newfound respect. A warning, a principle, and a promise. It is a necessity, the Guardian of the Flame responded. The galaxy is a dangerous place. We must protect ourselves, and we must also strive to create a better future. We believe that we can build one together. Admiral Cathar returned to the negotiator, his thoughts swirling with a complex mix of emotions. The encounter with the humans had been a humbling experience, a profound lesson in the dangers of arrogance and the importance of understanding. He had seen the power of their ethical stance, and he was struck by the calm professionalism of a species he had previously dismissed. As the ship prepared for its return journey, his gaze drifted towards the holographic projection of the Sol system. The humans were not a threat. They were a beacon, a symbol of hope in the vast darkness of space. Back in the Senate Hall, the news of the successful negotiation was met with a mixture of relief and cautious optimism. The initial fear and uncertainty had been replaced by a growing respect for the humans. The Krill Dominion, once on the brink of conflict, had instead forged a tenuous alliance. However, a larger, more ominous threat emerged that would test the fledgling alliance between the Krill and the humans. Weeks after the return of the negotiator, a signal, faint but persistent, began to penetrate the Krill's sensor networks. The signal was alien, originating from a distant region of the galaxy. Its very existence hinted at a forgotten past, a conflict that had been erased from the history books. As the signal grew stronger, the data accumulated, revealing a devastating truth. A vast, dormant megastructure, an immense structure of unimaginable proportions, was beginning to reactivate. The megastructure, a relic of a long-lost civilization, was a weapon of incredible power, a weapon designed to eradicate entire star systems. Its existence presented an existential threat, not just to the Krill Dominion, but to the entire galaxy. The Krill knew they could not defeat this threat alone, and immediately they transmitted the information to the humans. The transmission was received by the Sol Federation. The Guardian of the Flame responded swiftly, agreeing to assist the Krill. She explained that the humans, too, had been monitoring the signal and had already begun to prepare for the inevitable. The revelation reinforced their initial understanding. The humans had been studying the stars, preparing for something of this nature. This wasn't their first time to confront an existential threat. A joint task force composed of both Krill and human vessels was formed. They prepared to confront the megastructure, but as they prepared, a new layer of complexity was revealed. As the Krill and humans began to decipher the structure's language, they discovered a message, a warning, and a promise. The message was sent eons ago by the civilization that had created the megastructure, a civilization that had been annihilated by its own creation. The message contained information about the megastructure's true purpose, an act of self-destruction that could consume the entire galaxy. But the message also offered a way to prevent the destruction, a key, a solution that required cooperation and a level of technical prowess that demanded the combined knowledge of both the Krill and the humans. They had to disable the weapon by working together, sharing their knowledge, and relying on each other's unique strengths. The threat was a test of survival, a test of their new partnership. Joint Task Force, now an interstellar army, reached the megastructure. Before them, a colossal structure, a testament to a forgotten era of cosmic engineering, loomed in the vastness of space. The Krill, with their advanced sensor technology, worked to identify the megastructure's weaknesses. The humans, with their understanding of physics and their uncanny ability to innovate, devised a plan to neutralize the weapon. It would take all of their combined efforts to avert the impending galactic catastrophe. The battle against the megastructure was unlike anything the Krill or the humans had ever experienced. The structure was heavily defended, unleashing waves of energy, unleashing its own vessels, and creating a formidable obstacle course of debris. But despite the enormous odds, they fought as a cohesive unit, their ships maneuvering with a precision born of mutual trust. Krill and human vessels worked in perfect synchronicity. The humans focused on the structure's exterior defenses, while the Krill worked on the interior systems. The battle raged for what seemed an eternity. Countless vessels were lost in the struggle, their energy shields failing, their hulls breached by the megastructure's relentless attacks. But despite the losses, the task force continued to push forward. The humans, using their strategic brilliance, implemented a daring plan. They would overload the megastructure's core, using a series of precisely timed energy pulses. The Krill, using their expertise in sensor analysis, helped to identify the critical vulnerabilities, the points of failure that would allow the humans to execute their plan. The moment of truth arrived. The humans launched their final attack. Energy pulses, carefully calculated and precisely timed, slammed into the core of the megastructure. The krill held their breath. The megastructure, its defenses weakened, began to shudder and shake. A blinding light erupted from its core, an explosion of energy that threatened to consume the entire system. Then silence, the megastructure collapsed. The threat was gone, the task force had prevailed. In the aftermath of the battle, the krill and the humans were hailed as heroes. They had saved the galaxy from a threat that could have extinguished all life. The bond between them, once tentative and uncertain, was now forged in the crucible of battle. They were no longer merely allies. They were friends, bound together by a shared experience, a shared victory. They had faced their fears, and they had succeeded. The revelation of the megastructure was not the final twist. As the dust settled and the debris fields dispersed, the task force began to explore the area surrounding the destroyed structure. They discovered something else, a hidden system, a gateway to a new region of space, a new frontier. The gateway was a mystery. It was a portal to a distant part of the galaxy, a region unexplored, uncharted. It promised new worlds, new civilizations, and new possibilities. The krill and the humans debated the merits of exploring this new frontier, weighing the risks against the potential rewards. But eventually they reached a decision. Together, they would venture through the gateway. They would embark on a new journey, a voyage of discovery that would test their alliance in ways they could not yet imagine. The krill and the humans, side by side, sent forth a team to survey the area. As the krill and the humans were gathering data about the other side of the gateway, they received a startling message. It was a message from the ancient civilization that had built the megastructure. It was a message of hope and warning. You have survived. You have shown that you are worthy of the stars, but the galaxy is vast and there are many dangers that lie beyond the known. Be cautious, be vigilant, and always remember the lessons of the past. The message was a reminder of the fragility of existence, a testament to the power of unity, and a call to action. It was a challenge, a promise, and a reminder of the importance of the relationship that had been forged in the face of annihilation. It was a reminder of the core concept that had created their alliance. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear: the krill and the humans would face it together. They had learned to trust one another, to respect one another, and to work together. They had learned the meaning of ban, the importance of ethical principles, the value of cooperation. They had been students of the stars, and now they were guardians of the galaxy. The krill, once arrogant and dismissive, had become a species humbled by their encounter with the humans. They had learned that power alone was not enough. They had learned that true strength lay in the embrace of compassion, unity, and shared values. The humans, with their quiet strength and unwavering ethical principles, had shown them the way. The Senate Hall, once filled with fear and uncertainty, now resonated with hope and optimism. The Krill Dominion, transformed by its encounter with the humans, was ready to embrace the future. As the joint Krill-human exploration vessels prepared to depart through the gateway, Senator Vhlar addressed the chamber. The humans have shown us the way. They have taught us the meaning of ban. We will never forget what we have learned. We will never again underestimate the value of cooperation. We will build a better future together. The hollow projector flickered, displaying an image of the combined krill and human fleets poised on the edge of the unknown. Across the hall, the krill and the humans, together, sh. At a moment of silence. This new era of exploration was the start of an age of shared destiny. A new path was starting. The future was not preordained, but the krill and the humans were ready to face it. They were ready for whatever lay ahead, for they had learned the most important lesson of all. That strength lay not in dominance, but in unity, in understanding, and in the unwavering commitment to a better future. They had come from conflict and misunderstanding, but now they were ready to embark on a shared journey, ready to face the universe together.